Here we are once again to the middle of November 2025 in the year of Lord Talos, where for the 6th time in my whole YouTube career, as it were, we have a look about the state of lore by night. The good, the bad, and everything else in between. And some of you may be clicking onto this video with bated breath, because throughout the years I have become progressively negative. I personally feel it's all been justified, but I know a lot of people don't like the negativity that's on this channel, or they don't like me, or whatever, but we're not going to be focusing too much on the negative here for a change, but I do think it's important just to provide context to things. And also there have been bits of negativity in here that I think is important to highlight within this year. But going back to what I was originally saying, the very first anniversary upload I did a review of Vampire, which was the video game that ultimately got me into the World of Darkness and Vampire the Masquerade via Bloodlines. I've talked about this pipeline before, so I'm not going to rehash it here. The second year I just talked about how much I love the World of Darkness setting, and at that point it's V5 community, otherwise known as the Family, and just how I was excited for the new materials, what was going to be coming out next, etc. and so forth. Now, as I do with all my recordings, I recorded this one sometime in advance, and I recorded that one at the tail end of July. So when that then came out in November, I believe the companion guide had just come out, or it was just about to come out. I seem to recall that actually coming out about December point. But anyway, there was this transition between this games company called Renegade and Onyx Path wasn't going to be developing things a lot more, or that would come a bit later. But the point I'm trying to lead to here is that with the third year, with a 180, I just talked about how the 5th edition setting felt like a soulless husk. Essentially how, for various different reasons, subjective and objective, that they were working backwards and doing a lot of gatekeeping and enforcing a lot of the arguments you'd often found with the older material and the 5th edition material, particularly with the 20th anniversary fans and the 5th edition fans, things that have been completely blown out of proportion and things that I have seen and engaged on a personal level. For the 4th year was the year of Wealthy Apocalypse 5th edition and a whole host of unpleasant controversies in between. So I then did a video just grouping all the then controversies together, because I think it was important just to archive and document all that stuff together, and a bit of rant and a rave about things. Also being as factual as I could be with the information that was provided out there, doing my due diligence as a mock journalist, whatever you want to fucking call somebody who just likes collecting information and presenting that to the world to archive things. I don't think an archivist is the right word here, given how bare minimum my efforts are, but regardless, I thought it was important to put out all that stuff there. Then we go on to the 5th year, which I think, for me personally, on an emotional and mental level, and in some places physical, was the most depressing, because at this point I had felt completely burnt out with World of Darkness controversies, some other controversies that I had been a part on online, some of which has been my fault, some of things I think have been blown out of proportion, etc. and so forth, usual Twitter drama nonsense, and just life in general had just completely burnt me out, and I was just fed up of doing lore dives, which comes a bit of a surprise to some people, I think, and I think it still does surprise people that I'm just not interested in doing lore stuff anymore. But as I talked about in that video, I was doing a lot of Wealthy Apocalypse stuff, and I did a lot of hype around it for years, really. But with the last year in particular, I did a trailer with some original music that I composed for it, and I was really excited and hyped for it. And as I do with all my lore dives, I typically do things in character. So one member of said splat talking to a younger and experienced one. The exception to that rule is when I did Wraith the Oblivion stuff, where I did it as the ever-eccentric Dr. Frederick Phoenix, co-founder of the Phoenix Institute, to the neonate vampire, for lore story reasons that I described when I did my episode on necromancy. Because whenever I did something I wanted to talk about, I always had very present of how could I introduce this and make this sense of my views to engage with. So, despite having the attitude, if I want to talk about something, I will talk about it, it was still being fueled by what the fans, listeners, whatever, would want, which is something it took me a very long time to come and accept and deal with, because with the Wraith stuff, I really wanted to talk about Wraith the Oblivion, but how could I make this make sense without it seeming too jarring. So I did an episode on necromancy, and then just led into the tail end of that with Malcolm going something like, I want you to go and talk to these ghost hunters that are loitering around the mansion. They know themselves as the Phoenix Institute, or whatever it is I fucking said. I wrote it up. It's all very, very much scripted. That's just how I made that work. I'll try and connect things and just justify what the fans would want, rather than just doing things that I want to do for my sake. So when I then started talking about Wealth the Apocalypse, we had a new character, we had a new neonate equivalent I refer to as the Cub, because having read a lot of Wealth the Apocalypse before I started doing the lore dive, from being introduced to Heart of the Forest, being introduced to some wonderful people who are very knowledgeable about Wealth the Apocalypse, who have been playing and engaging with the game for pretty much longer than I've been alive, honestly. They have this wealth of knowledge that's really helped me to appreciate the setting, despite all the problematic elements of that. Just how to make it a really gorgeous and beautiful game with all of its setting and its own unique take on politics. Just how much of a different beast it is to Vampire the Masquerade. So I couldn't, in good faith, for me personally, go into this this is what the Guru are, here are the tribes, because narratively, in my mind, and with the lore stuff, and how a cub or whatever would be introduced to its setting, it didn't make a lot of sense. This is the Guru, these are the different forms, here are the auspices, the rite of passage, and then the idea from that was to then talk about the tribes. And I started writing about the Black Furies in the similar style that I had established with Butcher of Lies. I didn't like it, so I completely stripped that away. So I then rewrote it from the format of the Bloody Guides to Vampire Role-Playing, came back after lunch, read over what I wrote, and thought, this was fucking shit. I don't like this. I'm done. I'm not doing lore stuff anymore. I took a break. I tried again. I'm just not really vibing with it. And that was really early this year, but just rolling things back a little bit, I found that when I was doing the werewolf lore, particularly on the worm of the triad, with the Weaven World making up the triad, I was cutting corners, not cheating with generative AI or things, but whenever I'd done my script on things, I would leave bits out and encourage the listener, viewer, whatever, to go and do your additional research, because I have always presented things as the bare bones basics and a little additional bits to be engaging and to cover as much as I can without being overwhelming, because the World of Darkness lore meta plot is very overwhelming. It is very off-putting for people. I've never denied that. But I've wanted to present enough people to be interested with something, but also interested enough to go and research more. And I mentioned something, but you can go and research that in your own time. What is that? You then find it on the wiki, you then find it on the books, or ask questions online, or whatever that may well be. But with the worm, I was cutting corners because I just did not want to write about it anymore, because I just couldn't be bothered. And with all the work that I was putting into things, despite me cutting corners, I was still writing and producing what I feel was some really top-notch quality material and content. I didn't think the views was matching the workload that I was putting in there, because it wasn't Vampire the Masquerade, because I didn't do the typical, well, not typical because no one's really covering the werewolf lore, how it was more, I think it was more expected that I do the one-on-one and then start talking about the tribes and then fitting everything else there around it. But I'd always try to present things as a story, so there was a narrative there and how it made sense, as I waffled about already. And because I didn't do that, I wasn't really getting a lot of views. And I, at that point, was thinking, okay, if I'm doing this really in-depth stuff talking about septs and cairns and auspices, and I'm only getting a few hundred views, which it's nothing much to sneeze about in realms of World of Darkness lore coverage, and particularly Wealth the Apocalypse, but I did think that what I was doing should have been getting a lot more, which is super frustrating. So what's the point of putting out really top-notch stuff if I'm not going to get the views and the recognition that I think I'm going to be deserved? Which then leads into the 5th year anniversary video that I did, where I had just had enough. I was going to finish doing the werewolf lore, but I may stop soon if I don't want to. And the last lore dive I believed was on the Ronin, which are Guru that who detach themselves from society and their tribe and not auspice, but they are no longer part of the Guru nation. And I thought that was useful to highlight. Okay, we talked about all this culture and stuff and why all this shit is really important. This is what happens to you if you don't adhere to that. And then I was going to talk about the tribes, but as I said, I started, and I just didn't want to anymore. I just wanted to talk and record things that got me excited and that got me happy. Which sort of counteracts, I feel, those people who are in the comments saying, well, you shouldn't worry about the views, you do whatever you want to do. Yeah, but YouTube isn't like that. Like, I've established myself as a World of Darkness / Vampire the Masquerade content creator, and you can go through the views on my channel, like, the things I've talked about, Bloodlines this year, or Vampire the Masquerade, get a lot more views than practically anything else. But you know what? I don't care. Which is the first time I have been able to say that wholeheartedly, without any strings attached. Okay, there's one. I would like it if the things I would put out would get a lot more views, because of course you do. You know, like, we've got like silly little monkey brains, like big numbers make monkey brain happy. Like, we want those numbers to go big because big is better. But at the end of the day, I do feel really, really proud about what I've put out this year. And yeah, there's been World of Darkness coverage here and there, most of which I think has been fairly positive. Because I know that people tend to complain about me online that I'm really negative and this, that and the other. And I don't know if those people have noticed, because I do know I get a lot of hate viewers for some bizarre reason, which isn't great for their mental health. I don't really engage that much with 5th edition stuff all that much anymore. If I do talk about World of Darkness, it's often in the form of, I saw this comment, this is my thoughts and opinions on it, because I feel there could be a conversation to be had about that. Like, one that immediately comes to mind, somebody in the comments of a video I did insisted that Well of the Apocalypse was a D&D reskin. I did not agree with that, so I then did a video voicing my opinions on that, because I don't think that's correct. This is my take on it. Take it or leave it, I don't really care. But people do come to me, as would anybody with any content creator, because they respect or admire, or at least interested in what they have to say, their takes and opinions on things. And I do feel that in that sense, I do have some level of authority, just because of the large subscriber count, the number of views, and how people do recommend my work because I put out good World of Darkness lore material. Now, am I the best person and the most knowledgeable about the World of Darkness? Absolutely not. I know a fair amount, for sure, and I think I know a lot more than most people, but there are people who know a lot more than I, and it's just great that we can have these conversations, different thoughts and opinions and things. Like, most recently, we had the video where I asked, can vampires be good people? And there were some banger takes on that. And there were some people that said, you know what, I disagree at this point here, this is why. And I read that and I thought, yeah, that's a good point. I gave a little heart about that, and you know, I love interacting with people and seeing your different thoughts and opinions about that. I love interacting with the community like this. And it's weird to refer to the viewers and whatnot as a community, because it sort of plays into like the whole like weird family borderline cult thing that YouTube sort of fosters. And I say this wholeheartedly, I think that every content creator is a cult leader, and I've sort of lent into that over years. Like, it's why I introduce all these videos these days as your Lore and Saviour, play on the words on Lord and Saviour. And Shah, one of the moderators on the Lore by Night Discord server, sign up with the link below, and a good friend of mine came up with that, and I just, it's fucking gorgeous. I love that, and how we've just taken that into our stride. The wonderful loretery, as it were. And I've also really enjoyed just talking about non-World of Darkness things. Something I've kept saying I wanted to do for years, but never really got around to doing it, because I was just locked in my head of like, how can I make this make sense on the channel? How can I like maximize views and whatnot? How could I, you know, make it make sense of everything? And no, I wasn't always chasing views of things, but as a content creator who like cares about the brand and the reputation, everything about that, there has to be like a level of how you're going to make this work for your viewers. But this year, I've really stopped caring about a lot of that. As I said, sometimes I put out a video and I really wished it would have done a lot better view-wise, but at the end of the day, like, if a few hundred people watch something, that's still a venue, like, for a music gig sort of thing. And my buddy, Turk of the Grouch Couch, like, said that to me recently, and it sort of helped me with that. You know, like, a few hundred people, that's a lot of people. That's like a small venue. And then with the some of the Bloodline stuff I've done this year. Bloodlines 2, particularly that initial controversy reaction video that I did that's got like 11,000 views. It's the most viewed thing on the channel this year. Like, that's a stadium. Like, that's pretty impressive. And yeah, I knew that if I was going to talk about Bloodlines 2, I'd get a lot of views. It's not why I did it. It's just, using that video as an example, it's just, I wanted to voice my opinions on that and provide a different take that I think a lot of content creators wouldn't do, because they don't have as much Vampire the Masquerade experience, knowledge, etc. They've got a lot of Bloodline stuff, but not necessarily like the World of Darkness in general, and I had like little takes here and there, and I did enjoy for a time doing the trailer reactions with that, but then things got really silly because I started getting death threats of the fucking Tremere trailer and people thinking I was attacking like the person who created the trailers for them because I just didn't like what they did. And it's like, no, I don't need that fucking shit. Like, I'm not enjoying it now, I'm not going to do it. Whereas previously, I would have chased that a bit more, because content chase, you know, there was a point last year I just stopped covering Bloodlines content because I just found it a bit of a chore, but, you know, I tried, it failed, doesn't really work, and that's fine, and I'm loving this bit of progress that I'm having, and I'm just enjoying making content that I want to make, regardless to what everybody else do, and it's really nice that, despite this, hasn't really affected the views all that much, because, you may recall, the werewolf stuff from earlier this year, 2025, was getting a few hundred views. I've done stuff on Morkborg that's gotten about the same. My review rant waffle about like vanilla Morkborg, I laugh because there's nothing really vanilla normal about it other than being a D&D clone, I guess. That's got a few more. So really, I'm not doing anything wrong brand or channel wise, because I'm still getting that steady stream of viewers that are watching my stuff, and that's been a real boost to my confidence, actually, that it hasn't really been affecting the numbers too much. Yeah, there's some things that do considerably worse then, and that's just a bit yikes on trikes, honestly, but it's not bothering me as much as, say, if it would have done last year, if I was doing something that was on the channel's brand, and or things I was pretty certain my viewers would like. I'll actually give you an example of something that I did this year that I honestly thought would have got more attention, which will seem a bit strange given the amount of views that it did get. My reaction to the first episode of Kindred to the Embraced, and I did that to celebrate, what was it, 300 Thursday uploads? Yeah, that was it. It was the 300th Thursday upload, and I do that because I know I do videos all over the place now, and I do put out quite a lot of content throughout the year, but one consistent thing that's never changed, except for that period last year where I just needed to take a month out, I would upload an episode on 6 o'clock UK time on a Thursday, because on that first Thursday, when I uploaded the very first thing onto my YouTube channel, that's just what I did it on. And I'm autistic and a creature habit, and I didn't really see much reason to change. And 6 o'clock was quite a nice point, because it's like evening for those in Europe, and for those in America, it's on their lunch break. So it fit quite nicely, coincidentally. So that's just what I've stuck with, and whenever I've deviated from that day, things tend to be a little less, on the most part. But if I change the timing of all, it's like, oh, you don't want to do that, you know, because YouTube's a fucking wanker like that sometimes. But going back to Kindred to the Embraced, that sort of peaked at a couple of thousand views, which is a lot, you know, as we've talked about, it's that sort of like venue size, which is pretty impressive. But that's been one of the biggest requests that I've had over the 6 years of me doing YouTube, and I wanted to do it, I wanted to do something special, so I thought, well, 300 Thursday uploads is a pretty fucking good time for that. So I did that, and it was a slow uptake, admittedly, and it sort of peaked at a couple thousand views, as I said. And that doesn't really encourage me much to like carry it on, because anything that's part of a series on YouTube will typically have less views. What it means is like 6 or 7 episodes, so if we just follow like a general sort of scale, like by the time we get to the 6th part, I just suspect it'd be like a few hundred views, and I don't think for something that's about an hour's worth of my time, more than, that output is not really worth my time. So rather than forcing it like to complete the series or whatever, I just can't be asked for it. and I'm not going to force myself to do it, which is kind of the attitude I've been taking through with 2025, because I've had quite a few ideas for different videos this year, and when it's come around to me to like actually put that into action, I thought, I don't fancy it, so I'm not gonna. Because as I've mentioned already, I would typically record from like 8 or 9 weeks in advance, so using the anniversary episode example, I recorded an episode in July for November, so what, that's like 4 months, August, September, October, yeah, 4 months. We're in the month of November now. I have videos that are going to be coming out in April, which is a bit more than 4 months. And it's so funny to me that how, by removing the script and the strictness about when and how frequently I would record and how many videos I would have in advance, because that's something else. I would always have like 4 or 5 videos prepared in advance. So if I was unable to record one week, I would have some banked over. But even with the tail end of last year and this year, there were moments, because of the general lifestyle that I live at home with a disabled and severely immune-compromised household, there'll be times where I wouldn't be able to record for months on end, and it would cause a lot of anxiety because I do things that are so scripted, and I was very particular about how I recorded my podcast episode and would demand a really quiet environment without the dogs, family making noise, and talking about the dogs, they're being suspiciously quiet, which for Holly, who snores a lot, is a little unnerving, actually. Is she actually fucking breathing? Yes, she is. Sorry, little tangent over, but the point we're trying to get at is that I've stopped caring about it so as much, you know, like thinking about being a podcast and production of things, because I think I've got lots of cool ideas and opinions on things, and I much prefer doing this freeform thing because it's not so stressful. I don't have to worry about being so consistent with the character, the processing effects, the music and things, and etc and so forth. I can just like set up the laptop, put on the webcam, or just go out and about with my phone and just like record an opinion on something and just upload that, and people are going to watch that and be interested in what I'm going to say. And it just allows me to be a bit freer of mind to upload things and just put things out a week later, rather than just squashing everything around that Thursday upload, which has been really great. And of course, I could have done that at any point, really, but I just didn't for whatever reason. But it's just really nice to have that different mental attitude. Has just completely changed how I put out content. It's changed my relationship with how I put out things, and I just feel so happy with things content-wise at the moment. Yeah, it's not as professional as like other TTRPG content creators out there. No, it doesn't sound as nice and high-end as it did. I mean, it does sound pretty good because I'm using a pretty expensive mic and an expensive digital interface. You know, but it wasn't like the standard that I did previously, and I'm okay with that. It sounds okay. It's more than acceptable, and it's just allowing me to be freer to do whatever I fucking want without being things so scripted. And even with the book reviews, I don't do like script stuff. I just have like a page or 2 of notes to do things on, and that's just been so much fun to do. And I really liked this process. I'm just able to talk more about things this way, just like a conversation sort of thing, like I am having right now to myself. The reflection, as it were, in the screen. Reflection's the wrong word, but you know what I mean. I've just been able to be freer to do the things that I want to do because I want to do them. Like talking about Pendragon earlier this year. That got 1,000 or so views. I enjoy the system. I want to talk about it. There's some Merkborg things I've mentioned. That didn't do as great as I wanted it to because, you know, monkey brain numbers and all the rest of that. That's okay. I talked about Merkborg. I've wanted to talk about Merkborg for fucking ages. I really like the system, and there it is. I've talked about already with an unboxing video. That's something else. I've done lots of unboxing videos this year, and I know there's a bit in the back of my mind that may make me look a bit like privileged because a lot of them are pretty expensive. Like, it's all come from the angle of me sharing my love and enthusiasm of this hobby with everyone who watches this, and also kind of like a weird archive sort of thing, like I mentioned earlier on, because I actually really enjoy watching unboxing things because I get to hear and see people's enthusiasm with things, and it can be helpful at times if I want to buy X product and I can just see it in the natural environment, as it were, rather than like all looking nice with like a professional photo sort of thing. But regarding what I do, it's purely just showing my love and enthusiasm with things. Like the one where I got the first edition of Vampire the Masquerade, having spent like my whole time trying to find a physical copy. Because Drive-Thru RPG doesn't do like a print-on-demand version, which I would have been totally happy with. It's just I found one on eBay because somebody had sold it as like second edition and nobody was interested in it because nobody is interested in second edition. Revised 20th, yes, but it was first. And I won this little bid, nobody else wanted it, and then I had it I mean, go and watch the video, you can just see how much I'm drooling over it. And my deluxe edition of Wraith of the Oblivion, which I actually have down here because I was recently doing some solo Wraith stuff just because I can, and I'm going to be putting out a video just talking about me doing this solo Wraith game that I'm doing because I just want to share this fun that I've been having with this game. And I did an unboxing thing with that as well, which had its own whole emotional thing with that as well, talking about the GM screen that came with that as well. Like, I've just been really enjoying having fun, making content and playing TTRPGs because I want to, and I feel really happy and grateful that everyone's joined me along in this ride as we explore new avenues. And as I said earlier on, it's been really nice, like, not seeing the numbers change too much. They haven't gotten less than overall, and it would be nice to be more views because, again, monkey numbers. Like, if it was more, but it hasn't discouraged me from doing, maybe I should just stick to Vampire then. And yeah, there's been some like spikes when I've talked about vampires in the World of Darkness, and of course any of the negative ranty things that I've done, which I don't think has been too out there. I think the one that got the most attention was when I talked about White Wolf using generative AI for Tattered Facade, which is frustrating on so many different levels, but I don't want to talk about that. I don't really fucking care. I don't want to give the haters too much energy, because I know I've done a bit of that already. But that's to be expected, you know, controversy always sells, but that's not why I did it, of course, because I was angry and frustrated. And you can go and watch that video, you can actually hear just how fucking pissed off I was, and still am, admittedly. But I've really enjoyed doing content this year. Doing the things that I want to do for me. It's been great. And I've enjoyed doing the solo stuff, because even though those numbers didn't do very well, by which I mean the solo Wraith of the Oblivion actual play, where we used my solo rules, the Hopeful Damned, which was in the top seller of the Storyteller's Vault for about a week or so. I think it was slightly less than a week, but it was the best seller. And I'm really appreciative to everybody who's gone out and downloaded and purchased that, because a lot of you did purchase that. It was like an optional thing, but it was really great seeing how many of you actually went out of your way to buy that, and I'm so fucking grateful for that, and I'm really grateful for those who have downloaded and had lots of fun with that. And yeah, despite the fact that some of those views were some of the worst on the fucking channel, I had lots of fun doing that because I really love Wraith of the Oblivion, and I had fun showcasing it and telling a TTRPG story with a character that I would not have been able to play properly in a normal group setting. It's just been a lot of fun, and I'm bringing this up because I mentioned in a recent unboxing thing, you know, going around again with my tangents, that I recently got hold of the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game because I realised there was a whole book dedicated on like the different Spider-Man verse stuff, and I've had lots of fun reading through that. I've started reading fucking comics. I've mentioned in my review of The Walking Dead. Again, another tangent. I'm conquering a phobia this year of dealing with zombies. And part of that is like looking through the various Walking Dead stuff, like playing the video games, which I was going to do a review for, but I thought, fuck it, I can't be bothered for it. But I did a review on the TTRPG stuff. I read all the Walking Dead comics, which was a massive 3-hour video which barely anybody watched, but I don't care. I had a fucking blast during that. That was so much fun to do, and really cathartic as well. Like, I feel I've made great progress on this fucking phobia of mine. But going back to the Marvel thing, like, the Spider-Verse expansion, like, for Season 4 of the Playing With Thyself podcast, I want to create my own Spider-Man and just record that. Is that going to get any views? Barely, because this isn't a Marvel-centric channel, and I don't think me doing a solo thing as Spider-Man is going to get a lot of attention, honestly, but I want to do that because I want to do that because I really fucking love Spider-Man, and this has reinvigorated a whole new interest where, as I said a moment ago, I started to read the fucking Spider-Man comics. I read the Todd McFarlane 1990 run, which I've done a review for, which will be out in a month's time, and I'm going to record a review on the Venom Collection Volume 1, and I've got Maximum Carnage to read as well, which will come out sometime next year. And I've got a bunch of others in PDF form that I want to read and talk about, because I just want to talk about Spider-Man. For me. Because I know there's going to be people that enjoy that someplace, and someone's going to like search these things online and probably find the videos, but I want to talk about and record about these things because I want to talk about and record about these things. And if you watch them, great. If not, hopefully you enjoy the next one. And as I said, I'm just really enjoying doing content, and I am thinking so much about what else I could do, like some video game plays, because we've done a bit of that with Redemption and Bloodlines. Going back to the zombie thing, I want to do a playthrough of some description of Zombie U. You know, that launch Wii U title where you played in a zombie apocalypse set in London. Now, I say a playthrough of some description because, again, the zombie phobia, and that one is really giving me the heebie-jeebies, so to speak, as like a trauma response thing. So it may not be a full playthrough, but that's going to be like part of my dealing with my zombie phobia trauma, as it were. Well, the actual phobia of itself. And of course, we've got the proper mission Zombotch actual plays. Well, I'm going to be playing a bunch of zombie-themed TTRPGs solo style, but that's probably going to be next year's project, because I really want to do the Spider-Man verse stuff first. I'm also getting into Shadow Dark, and I want to do something with that as well. I've got a few ideas of that. And the lovely people at the Arcane Library are sending me a review copy for that, and they're throwing in an additional zine, which is really cool stuff. And talking about review copies, it's also been nice that I've had people sending me review copies this year. There's been, well, the Shadow Dark one, which is yet to arrive, as of the recording of this, the 3rd of November 2025, in the year of our Lord Talos. We had Farewell to Arms, the World War I themed Merkborg game. They're very generous about that. But the most generous of the lot, I feel, has been Artelsorian Games, who have sent over all of their Cyberpunk books in physical form and PDF for me. So, as of the recording this video, I own every single Cyberpunk thing. Well, book, card, technically in PDF form, but it's all there. And I'm just completely fucking flabbergasted with that one. As I said in my unboxing video of that, Rob, who's their community manager person there, when we were talking back and forth about it, what was initially meant to be me asking for the solo rules to do Season 3, that's why I missed out the 3, they're talking about Season 4, because I'm currently recording Season 3 using the official solo rules, and maybe the Night City 2045 book in the near future, but if I can choose one, it'll be the solo book. And Rob was basically like, nah, give me a list of everything that you want, and if we've got it, we'll send you. And they sent over fucking everything. And then they then followed it up again. Hey, saw your video. Do you want anything else? Oh, and do you want to review our new game, Shadow Scar, which has gone really fucking well with its Kickstarter. And then he sent an email like, really love the review they did on Shadow Scar. I really love the stuff that you do, because Jay Gray watches my stuff a lot, which I'm really fucking grateful for. I really appreciate you. And Rob, I think, doesn't have that much of an experience in my content, at least compared to Jay Gray. And he saw the video and he really liked what I did. And we had a nice little conversation about doing reviews of products and critiques and reviews and things, and how it does a similar mindset that if you go into something not giving any sort of criticism or something that could be changed or whatever, like you're just doing the product a disservice. And I mentioned that, and why that was such a relief to me is because a lot of the hate I gain within the World of Darkness community is because I dare to criticize the companies and criticize the books that they put out. So it was nice to have that affirmation from somebody outside of that community, though. So there wasn't any level of bias, is what I'm trying to say. That it was just saw it for what it was, and I'm really grateful for that. And I'm also really grateful that Ticking Time Bob had me on their YouTube channel to play Vampire the Dark Ages with the great Matthew Dawkins of the Games Master. I hope nothing happens to him that makes that seems really dated, but you know, I've talked about that already in a video, and just how much fun that was. And previously I've done actual plays and they've been really stressful, and this wasn't. We could just have fun playing a game as it was intended to. Yeah, there was a camera on, but we all had fun with it, and I didn't feel stressed, and I had fun. Which is what all of this should be about, really. Like, I started doing YouTube videos because I wanted to help people talk about the World of Darkness, and I wanted to continue doing that as the channel was developed, talking about news and coverage and book reviews and some occasional non-World of Darkness themes that are in there. But it ultimately came from a place because I was really passionate about something and I wanted to share that with the world, and that's what I want to continue doing. So I'm really grateful for everyone who has stuck along for the ride and just how supportive and great everyone is. And again, thank you for Bob of Ticking Time Bob, thank you to Artel Games, Rivethead Games, the Arcane Library for sending the stuff over. Turk, I've got to thank you again because you've just been an absolute G. I'm loving the fucking shit that you're putting out there. That is somebody who needs a lot more views on their channel just because he does really fucking cool stuff. He does a lot of really cool solo play coverage. He's got a banning solo Walking Dead campaign that I think is one of the best solo like actual plays out there, so go and check that out. We also did a collab doing like some solo Fallout together, and yeah, they're sort of gone on a bit of hiatus because Turk's life has gone completely up the wazoo with a new job, but that was a lot of fun. And just to talk a bit about it now, like we've bounced some really cool ideas off each other. There's no stress with that at all. Like I've just had fucking loads of fun this year, honestly. I'm just so grateful for all those people. Again, I've got to give a special thanks to my partner, who is like the best fucking person in the world. They're my best friend, my soulmate, and I've got to start complimenting them soon because I'm about to start crying. But they've just sort of been supporting me all the way through all of this and just give me some really cool ideas and opinions, because they help me a lot with designing the thumbnails because they have a more artistic eye than I do. And sure, we disagree with some things, but they've been very helpful with all that sort of stuff behind the scenes, and you're just the fucking best. So meine Liebste, ich liebe dich. Yeah, so how am I going to wrap up this emotional video before I start fucking crying? Well, as a little treat for you, because I don't typically do this, I'm going to share with you the videos that I do have coming out next year, just something to get excited for if you stuck around for the last half an hour, which is the true goats among you, by the way. Just let me know your favourite breed of goat in the comments below. That's a fucking weird request. Actually, do that. If you've gotten this point in the video, let me know your favourite breed of goat or your favourite goat sheep character. Let's see how many of you are true goats among us. Right, so going up a little bit because I'm using the fun little YouTube Studio app to give you a little idea about the content that's coming up. Okay, so I need to do some quick maths because there's some dates missing because I haven't recorded things on certain days. To that end, Thursday is Christmas Day, and what I'm intending to do is to do a live solo play of one of the vampire games. I say one of them because on Christmas Eve, I'm going to get my Discord server to decide the game that we're going to be playing, and then I'm going to build a character, stream it there, and then on Christmas Day I'm going to attempt to do a live stream on the YouTube channel, because I haven't actually done that before. Now, I say intending because, going back to what I was saying earlier on, if it comes nearer to that time and I just don't feel up to doing it, I'm not going to do it. But what am I going to do instead of that? I don't fucking know. I haven't worked that out yet. That can be future problems me. So, Christmas Day may be a live solo actual play, but don't hold me to that. That's just an idea at the moment. So, coming back to this month, on the 20th of November, and I'm not going to show you the thumbnails either, I'm just going to give you the titles and I might talk a little bit about them. The one GM advice no one tells you, except me. Short little video, totally goated. I'm surprised not as many people have done this. On the 27th, we have a video about the Mythic GM Emulator 2nd Edition. This is my review video. I'm not going to give you the title of that one, despite what I just said a moment ago, because I want that one to be a bit of a surprise. But I've talked about that book so much, but I've never actually done a fucking review of it. But now, we're getting that review. On the 4th of December, does the GM Handbook finally save Pendragon? Of course, this is my review of the 6th edition Pendragon, because just to round things up nicely, at the beginning of this year, talked about the core/player's handbook, and at the end of the year, we'll talk about the GM book. And then after that is the episode that's going to be coming out on the week of my 30th birthday, which is the review of the Spider-Man McFarlane comic, because fuck it, why not? On the 18th of December, why do I love horror, and my favourite horror genre? I don't think that one needs to be explained a bit more. On the 1st of January, New Year's. What VTM sect would I be with? Now, what I actually want to do just before then, do the top 5 films I've seen this year. Because, as I talked about in a video earlier this year, which sort of loops around to the general theme of this video, and like the Burnout one a few days prior, I guess, or months or whenever, I don't remember when I put out that video. I'm not going to put it in a card because I can't quite be bothered. Because if I did that, there'll be a lot of fucking videos in this card and I can only have 5. One of the things I was really struggling with, like seeing films, is that it has to be like to try and please other people, or people like drag me on to see something, or whatever that may well be. So I'm just doing it for my sake, for my own enjoyment, because there's an awful fucking shit in the world that I have to do. So I'm just trying to be a bit more selfish and reward myself. So I've done a lot of film watching this year, mainly horror stuff. I haven't given that a lot of thought. I've got like a couple that are in my top 5 at the moment. So I want to do something that's really general like that. No, I'm not going to follow up with the top 5 worst films this year, because I don't give a shit, honestly. Like, I put out enough negativity as it is, even though it's not really negative, it's just a lot of criticisms and, like, opinionated stuff. I just don't want to put out something like that. I just want to talk about the things that are making me happy, so that's why we're going to be doing that. So after the VTM Sect one on the 8th of January is having 4 VTM disciplines too much. What Way of the Apocalypse Tribe am I comes after that, so another list-based one, and I really enjoyed doing that one, purely because I was surprised by the conclusion I came to, and I'll be very curious to see what you lot think my Way of Tribe is. Then we've got a strain of negative ones, but we talk about my honest opinions on Lore by Night. If you agree with it, great. If you don't, that's also great. But I do think there's some conversation to be had with some of these more negative, critical things. But to start us off, we have my thoughts on TTRPG conventions in the 2020s. And if you know me on a personal level, you can probably see the angle that this is going to take. But I'm probably not going to be liked very much for this one. But I'm not really surprised. But you know what? Fuck it. After that is The Way of the Apocalypse Problem, and this came about after seeing just a load of really bad Way of the Apocalypse takes and opinions, in my opinion. So that's going to be on the 5th of February. After that is how to deal with TTRPG Bleed, which I'm actually surprised I have not talked a bit about already, actually, but knowing how that video starts, I'm not surprised. But you're just going to have to tune in on the 12th of February to find out more. Next is another opinion one. Should VTM be more realistic? Which came about through some conversations on the Lore by Night Discord server. Next, are the Anarchs in VTM the good guys? And then we've got a couple of more negative ones, but one of them is more negative than the other, and one is a lot more personal than the other. You can work out which one is which. On the 5th of March, we have VTTs suck. Here's why. And then on the 12th of March, the hidden struggles of running TTRPGs as a content creator. Let me know which one's more personal to me. And then this one is actually a really fun, interesting one. Well, I think they're all really interesting. Of course they would be. Why would I say they're not interesting? But this one is different from the stuff I've typically done in the past. But this one, on the 19th of March, is the World of Darkness Wild West Buying Guide. And I'm real fucking proud of that thumbnail as well, which I'm not going to show you. You're just going to have to tune in March for reasons I'll talk about in that video. Not the thumbnail, but why I think is particularly exciting. Then we've got, should World of Darkness go to the public domain on the 26th of March? I'm going to censor this title a little bit, because this one's going to be a surprise, because it's actually about one person, the unsung hero of the World of Darkness on the 2nd of April. If you know who I'm talking about, let me know in the comments below, and I'll confirm with a comment whether you're talking about the right person. And then finally, as of the recording of this video, you're wrong about Wraith the Oblivion. Here's why. And when I have the time, hopefully this week, maybe next week, the next couple weeks in April will be about those Spider-Man comics that I've talked about so far. And on top of everything else I've mentioned with the solo actual plays, the Shadow Dark stuff that I'm not going to spoil with now, which will obviously take on the form of a book review as well, the zombie stuff, that's pretty much all the stuff I've got planned and all that I have to say on the matter. And, you know, if you've sat through all of this, again, you have my deepest thanks. And by all of this, I did mean this video, but I actually mean this year. I'm really grateful for everyone who has stuck around with this channel. You know, it's mainly a World of Darkness thing, and there's sort of been content all over the place this year, and actual plays and book reviews and some controversies here and there, and some drama and some more negative things. But I, as a whole, feel really happy where I am as the content creator side of myself. As I said, personal stuff and everything else, fucking shambles, but at least I have the content that I'm making to keep me stable, and I think it's really important to have like 1 or 2 things in life that can keep you grounded and get you happy and excited for things in life. So if you don't have that, I hope you're able to find that soon. And again, regarding this channel, I'm really grateful for everybody who's like tuned into everything I've done, whether it being vampire, the Masquerade related, werewolf, wraith, or anything else in between. It's been real nice seeing the feedback and the comments and things. It's been really nice for some of those videos where I haven't had so many views that some people said, oh, I hadn't heard about this before, I'm going to go and check it out, or I love this, I'd love to see more. There's been a couple of those, so I'm just really grateful for that. And thank you to everybody who I've mentioned already. Again, thank you to everyone else who views my videos, because the channel would not be here without you, ultimately. Yeah, I could stop uploading things, but if nobody was watching things, they wouldn't give me that little dopamine rush to carry on making things. So I'm just really grateful for everything that you've done, i.e. the comments, the liking, the sharing, purchasing and sharing my homebrew around, using those affiliate links, which you definitely do all the time, always. Yeah, I don't really know how to properly end, I guess. Yeah, like, share, subscribe, do all the cool shit that you usually do. I hope you're looking forward to what I'm having planned next year as of the recording and what I've uploaded. If there are any other ideas that you think I might enjoy and you may be interested in, first of all, check on the channel to see that I haven't done it already, because I get a lot of requests to do X thing, but I've already done it, usually several years prior. And then also just see if I'd like it, and if that's the case, then let me know in the comments below. But yeah, until next time, farewell.